There's lots of speculation. Brad Treliving is nowhere close to being done. I don't know if you caught John Klingberg's media avail, but he said Brad Treliving said there's some more I'm going to work on here. And so right away, the googly eyes come out on social media. I know Twitter's been down for the last couple of days, but you start to wonder, what are they up to? I mean, there's been the connection to the Calgary Flames ever since Brad Treliving was canned there, obviously hired by the Toronto Maple Leafs. There's that correlation. We all know he likes Zadorov, Anderson, Hanifin, Tanev. Like there's defensemen on that roster. But for me, I think the likeliest thing to happen is a trade for a top four defenseman. Do you agree?
Yeah, and if it's not top four, I mean, a bottom pairing defenseman who is physical. I look at this roster. I mean, when we go back to the shows we were doing before free agency, and I mean, it looked like they were really running it back. It looked like no big moves were making. Everyone was saying, "What's this guy doing? Why doesn't he make a move? How come everyone else is pulling triggers and we're just sitting there?" Hilarious to look at now because we've made some big additions. We got a heavyweight tough guy. We got a stud defenseman. We got two gritty forwards, which we desperately needed. And now I just look at this roster, which I'm completely excited about. Still, I want to see a rough and rugged defenseman on that. It's hard to get a top four defenseman that's rough and rugged, but like a Zadorov, I don't know if he would play in the bottom pairing, but a big body who can get his nose dirty, who makes it tough to get out of the corner, to get in front of the net, who can step up on guys and bang the body. Oh man, we need that on the back end. We're missing the Luke Shen. We know how much of an addition he was when he came to our team at the trade deadline. His physicality was completely noted. It was visual. You could tell, you could see, you could feel it. We need a big body to bang around on the back end and make it difficult. You can't have too much exposure on the back end without being physical. You need to be tough to play against.
There's a couple things working against them. Number one has to be the salary cap, right? If you're going to get a
Yep.
guy like that, you got to bring somebody in. Also, I think you call John Klingberg a stud defenseman. I think it's a project at the very least. I think they need a massive upgrade on the back end. I
Ooh.
still have my wonders if it is John Klingberg. I didn't mind the mood. I still don't mind the move, but I think he is what he is. He's not the same player he was a couple years back, and he's lost a lot of confidence. But I know what you're saying. Like I think they need that type of guy almost to like replace a Luke Shen. I know it was a small sample size to have Shenner in the mix there, but somebody who brings a bit of bite in the back end. I mean, there's a couple guys who play heavy, but for the most part, I don't want to call them soft. It's a different looking blue line, and I think to have that edge, especially in the Stanley Cup playoffs, you need that type of guy on your back end. You need a bunch of them. I mean, just look at what the two teams in Florida and Vegas in the Stanley Cup final brought to the table, right?
100%. You need guys that think hit first, not puck first, body first. A guy's coming down, taking you wide. You just look at his chest, look at that logo, and you drive your shoulder right through it. Put him on his ass. The puck will go to your partner. Punish those guys for coming across your blue line. Make them pull up. Make them think twice. In front of that net, you give those little shots on the hips, on the kidneys all the time, constantly working a guy, working a guy. By the end of the game, by the end of the series, God, those skill guys are going to be like, I'm going to back off here, try to find a soft spot, try to find something easier. Like I'm just getting beat to hell going into these corners, going in front of this net, make it hard to play against. When you just sit there and, okay, I know where my guy is. He's right there. I'm just going to look at him and watch him. And, oh, there's the guy coming wide. I mean, let me do some stick pokes here. Those guys just salivate over that stuff. They pull up, they go through you, they make the passes, you give them the space. They're looking down at the puck. They're looking, oh, maybe I should do a backhand toe drag here. Kaboom! Train runs right fucking through you. Oh boy, those guys hate that. And we need guys like that on our team to make other people hate playing against the Maple Leafs.
Guys are tough to play against in general, and certainly we'll see what Brad Treliving has up his sleeve. Again, as you mentioned earlier, it's just way too early to make a proclamation or assessment one way or another. Let him cook. It's a long off season. Doesn't mean he has to make a move tomorrow or 3 weeks from now. I mean, it's a long couple months leading up to training camp in September. But again, they have been linked to teams like the Calgary Flames. Of course, that familiarity with Brad Treliving, but there's some teams out there who are looking to get into the mix here. So I'm curious to see what the Leafs can do from that perspective. And of course, the Nylander front, too. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts. If they elect the smartest play here is to deal Willie Nylander, I think a lot of teams can step up. And to that point, maybe it's a defense and maybe it's something else to help on this Maple Leafs roster.